Everybody, it's Phil Trzula from Select Software. A friend of mine asked me the other day if I had a model to think about the potential capacity of an individual recruiter as well as the capacity for an entire recruiting organization. And I said, no, but that's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. And so I whipped up this model. I'm curious to hear what other people think. But basically, what we're trying to do here is understand for a given recruiter, in this case, Joe Smith, who's also a wrestler on the Oklahoma State wrestling team, part of the Smith dynasty. Side note, um, how many recs can this person take on at a given time for a given month? So I've got four types of recs. There's the extremely hard to fill, the hard to fill, medium to fill, easy to fill. Extremely hard is C-level executives. Hard is principal engineers, directors. Medium is quota-bearing sales reps, engineers. Easy is customer service, maybe intro marketing role, stuff like that. Okay, so then we've got the current recs that this person actually takes on. So this person's got one C-level and one quota-bearing sales rep, let's say, or maybe they've got 15 quota-bearing sales reps, 0 C-levels, or maybe they've got two of these and five of these and two of these, whatever the case may be. More likely than not, they probably are not across too many different rec types, but you get the idea. You can kind of play around with the assumptions here. And then there's an hours per month calculation. How many hours would it take for this person per month to actually execute on these recs? And then there's this little status here that basically looks at how many hours they're working. And if it's over 140, they say, hey, this person's overworked. If it's less than 120, they say, hey, this person has capacity. The assumption here is that the person works 35 hours per week. Might be a little aggressive. Most people don't actually work 35 hours a week. They might be in an office for 40 or 45, but there's lunch breaks and all that stuff. But again, it's Excel. You can play around with this if you want. This is to more think about sort of same math on an organizational level. Basically, if you've got this many recs to fill, how many recruiter hours are needed, and then you can actually do the math and figure out how many recruiters are needed here in line 24. The assumptions that this is all based off of for each type of rec, so extreme rec, we've got whether or not it requires sourcing, how many screens do we need per interview, the interview to hire ratio, extra time needed for, in the case of C-level executives, hand-holding, interview prep, follow-up, all that stuff. What's the time to fill? So how many hours or how many months are these hours spread across? And then how many actual hours does this translate into? So if we need sourcing, it translates into 15 extra hours. 7 screens per interview translates into 49 extra screens when we need to make 7 interviews per hire. That's basically how this works. So if we, for our organization, we actually don't do screening for hard to fill roles, then that's going to change the number of hours needed, and it's going to flow through the model. Kind of an interesting way to think about the capacity of an individual recruiter as well as a recruiting organization. Would love to hear what you have to say. And of course, you can download the spreadsheet and do anything you want to it on selectsoftwarereviews.com. Check out the blog, the latest post. Thanks.